The problem is that the Tories in particular are undoing everything that we've learned over the past century of how to build a civilization, right? Like, everything is getting worse, and they're doing all the things that makes it worse, right? So, privatizing and stripping away the NHS, you know, massive consolidation of the country's economy into finance in London with very little attention being paid to other parts of England, you know, like a culture that you know, encourages atomization because they have their own fucked up car culture in the UK because after the bombings, blah, 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 right? Like there's so much bad shit going on in the UK. Guys, the UK is so fucked. They voted yes to Brexit. They got one fucking brown guy swam across the channel and they were like, yeah! And cut themselves off from the European Union, the second largest economic bloc in the world. Like, look, one guy. Like, it's a lunatic country. They have nothing. It's a dead country full of fucking retards. It's insane, okay? So, like, again, the reason why things are so over there is because we've entered like a fucking shit heel cascade spiral, okay? Like, this is worse than the shit going over in Japan. This is like, God damn, man. They privatized water infrastructure. Yeah, just the same, just literally, you guys had a functioning country after World War II. A very racist, freshly bombed country, but you had a country. And since then, everything has been cut up and divided and picked away. Do you know why we talk about Russian oligarchs? Because they did quickly what UK aristocrats did slowly. That's it. Yes, Scotland is better than the UK. We know. Thank you. Just then secede already. You're clearly better than the things you're attached to. Fastest drop in living standards since records began. Jesus, look! Growth in real disposable household income in the G7. The UK is in the negatives between 2019 and 2023. Beaten out by Italy and Germany, Japan, France and Canada, and the US is mogging everyone because our COVID recovery was insanely good. Like I said, there's a reason I say dead country. There are a lot of bad countries out there. The UK is a dead country, okay? It's a dead fucking country. And this, you know, this is just like necromancers poking at it with sticks. It's grotesque. It's grotesque. So again, I'm not saying no one should work. I'm saying that, like, these gleeful hobgoblin aristocrat fucks that ruined everything they know what they're doing and they hate you, and it's a dead country and they hate you. Okay, the poverty rate has reached 22%. 22? Oh my God. 3 in 10 children, 1 in every 3 children in the United Kingdom lives in poverty. The United Kingdom. Dead fucking country. God, it's not even new. Children have been at about 30% poverty rate since the 90s. I wish this went back to Thatcher's administration. I bet that would paint an interesting picture. Was Thatcher worse than Reagan? Honestly, I think so, yeah. Just Reagan is in charge, or was in charge, of a much larger and more powerful country. So the stuff that Reagan did had a much greater influence, like, world, but like pound for pound, you know? Really? Yeah, I think so. I think she might have been worse. Yeah. It's worth mentioning that although they've been close, the UK has never had a revolution against the ruling class. Well, I mean, leaving aside even like a revolution as the marker, everyone powerful in the UK is an aristocrat. In America, there are many wealthy and powerful people, but a lot of them exist in the same social classes that we do. There are wealthy people who own bunches and bunches of car dealerships, and they just, like, go to the resort or the beach or whatever. Like, a lot of people come up from nothing. You know, there's not a lot of social mobility in the United States, but people exist in very, very different social circles, even if they are wealthy. Like, old money isn't that much of a thing in the US. In the United Kingdom, all of them go to the same private schools. All of them. The journalists, the bankers, the politicians, all of the powerful people in the United Kingdom. They know each other. They went to class together. They all fucking know each other. They're aristocrats. Aristocrats. We don't have those over here in the United States. US is the same? No, it's not. It is not. Literally 3 of the 5 last British prime ministers were part of the same class of the same school. Insane shit. Child poverty in the UK. Oh, is it really? Is it really that easy? You're kidding. It's that clear? It's so obvious that it feels like fake. Well, wouldn't the Southern slave owners be aristocrats? No, 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 no. An aristocracy isn't just like a group of wealthy people in a separate class. An aristocracy refers to a very specific, like, very concentrated hereditary class. Like, they have a House of Lords over there in the UK. And it's a legal class as well. Like, there's a distinction, too. It doesn't necessarily have to be legal, but, like, they have that in the UK. You know, over here in America, we just have the capital class, but we don't have aristocrats. You're thinking of nobility, not aristocracy. Aristocracy are also usually very, very highly hereditary. Like, the nobility are under the king, but the aristocracy, like, oh, you know, I go to Eton, my father went to Eton. Like, I'm not saying it's literally a direct lineage, but I'm saying, like, there is again, I can only say that if you're in the UK, you know what I'm talking about, and if you're in the USA, you don't, because we don't have it. We just don't have it here, you know? It's like those classic London phone booths that got made the Doctor Who thing. We just don't have them here, you know? It's wild. Would you say the Waltons or the Rothschilds or whatever be a sort of halfway? There have been individual families that have been almost dynastic in their power, like the Kennedys or the Clintons, right? Like those exist to an extent, but the aristocracy is a social class, you know? It's not just like some families. Can we move on from this? The Rothschilds are literally British. Oh, well, there's that too, I guess. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm going to bring out one more point. Just one more single point, okay? Listen, you know how Boris Johnson was like the most oafish, you know, like buffoonish caricature of a British slob you could imagine? And he is the Right Honorable Boris Johnson, who attended Eton and Oxford. Or sorry, Balliol College, Oxford in his youth, and was president of the Oxford Union. Like, if you trace back basically every, like, important or powerful person in the United Kingdom, they all go back to a tiny, tiny, tiny collection of schools and family groups. And, like, yeah, the journalists, the politicians, whatever, they all, and this, again, this isn't a conspiracy. It's literally just a fucking aristocracy. It actually doesn't have anything to do with, like, race even. He's part of it. It's just like a hyper elite social caste that, you know, you're not a part of. I went to Yale and met a lot of posh Brits as an undergrad. They all came in knowing each other already. Vast majority had come from a handful of high schools. God, it's cursed. Boris from when he was at Eton. David Cameron is also in this pic. Yeah, like shit like this is what I mean, okay? This is like, oh my God. This is such a specific... Yeah, the chums are out in force. Chums, how a tiny caste of Oxford Tories took over the UK. Cupper's Oxford experience was partly filtered through an outsider's perspective. One of the biggest culture shocks, he says, was British people's obsession with class and where they were in the hierarchy. I didn't really have class anxieties. Most of Cooper's friends in Oxford were middle-class people who went to state schools. Cooper went to a comprehensive. People have said, oh, he's just jealous of Johnson, he's resentful. He had a bad time at Oxford, but I had a good time at Oxford, da-da-da. There have been 5 Eton and Oxford prime ministers since the war. Christ alive. Eton tells you, this is the route to power. It's going to the Oxford Union. It's speaking well. Everyone in the British establishment 100 or 200 years ago looks like you. This is going to be you. They literally have a club where they burn money in front of homeless people and smash up pubs just to pay for the damage to flex their money that Boris was a part of. That's great. The club selects its members not only on the grounds of wealth and a willingness to participate, but also by reference their education. It was originally a sporting club dedicated to cricket and horse racing. Of fucking course it was. Oh my God. Lowell, Harvard, Yale, and Princeton are exactly the same. Transcender, I don't know why you keep, like, disagreeing with this in chat. I feel like half my responses have been to you. They're not. They're not. Even in the most elite institutions in the United States, we have nowhere near the class distinction. It simply does not exist. It just doesn't. Oh my God, you really are just a coping Britbonger. Holy shit. Oh my, dude, he's like, in America, we have eating problems too. Transcender, unironically, like, actually fuck off. You're a fucking blight to your country, and you're the reason why it's sinking into the ocean. The Atlantic welcomes you. Your petty nationalism gets in the way of you recognizing the problems with your country. Yeah, the United Kingdom makes America look like a haven of class mobility. It's insane.